In this video, I'm going to share with you 6 cheaper alternatives for 6 overpriced fragrances. Let's start by House of Parfums de Marly. I want to talk about Hermes. It is one of the best tobacco-based fragrances, in my opinion, right now in the market. It is jammy, cozy, slightly ashy, and very modern, masculine type of fragrance by a very great performance, projection, and sillage. Is around 180 bucks for 125 ml. I suggest you go buy this one if you are seeking for a great alternative for that fragrance. Pulse of the Night by Miyake. In terms of scent profile, Miyake Nuit Issey Pulse of the Night is very close to that fragrance, to Hermes. I can say highly inspired. At the opening, not that much, is another direction, but at the dry down, I can say almost identical, around 90%. They are close to each other, but this one is a slightly more powdery compared to Hermes. Performance of this one is not as great as Hermes, for sure. I can get by that fragrance 12 hours plus in terms of longevity, and very great projection and sillage for 2.5 hours. By this one, 5-6 hours longevity and 1 hour average to pour projection and sillage. Right now prices for this one is around 50 bucks for 100 ml. 6-7 months before, I remember, was around 100-110 bucks, which is absolutely not worthy for this fragrance. 50 bucks is more than enough for Pulse of the Night. Next fragrance is from House of Xerjoff, another sweet, cozy, delicious tobacco based fragrance, none other than Naxos. Performance of this fragrance is great, easily 10-12 hours plus by 2 hours. Great projection and sillage. This is one of those sexy, cozy, compliment getter honey and tobacco based fragrances. It is a compliment getter fragrance, better by ladies, mostly from ladies. Smells better in the air compared to scent of the fragrance. On the skin, if you are seeking for a cheaper alternative for that fragrance, I suggest you go buy Thierry Mugler's Pure Havane. I have to say this fragrance came before. It is not a cologne of that fragrance. Xerjoff Naxos is inspired by this one. Xerjoff Naxos right now retails around 200-230 bucks for 100 ml. This fragrance is 45 to 50 bucks for 100 ml. Performance of Xerjoff Naxos, scent profile of that one is better compared to this fragrance. It is more refined, better in terms of performance, projection, sillage, and for sure presentation. But if you want a bit cheaper alternative for that fragrance by 70-75% similarities in terms of scent profile, I suggest go buy Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler. Next fragrance is Bleu de Chanel. It is a great fragrance, one of the must-haves, I believe. Sexy, complex, refined, luxury, compliment getter, lady pleaser. But 150 bucks for 100 ml, I believe it is a bit salty, a bit overpriced. I would prefer like 80 bucks, maximum 100 bucks for 100 ml. 150 is too much. If you want some similar somehow fragrances in the same direction by better price, I suggest you go buy Versace Bleu. They are not identical, but direction is same direction, like freshy, dark, incensey, woody. You can catch similarities. That beautiful incense note is also available here. It is not as refined, as luxury as Bleu de Chanel, but you're gonna get, believe me, better compliments and performance way better by this one. This one is around maximum 50 bucks for 100 ml and 70 bucks for 200 ml. Way cheaper, way better in terms of performance, and absolutely way better in terms of compliments. But if you want something more similar in terms of scent profile to Bleu de Chanel, you can go buy Missoni DP, but it has not that much refined luxury and incense note. Incense note is here missing, but in terms of scent profile is closer compared to Bleu to Bleu de Chanel. Is around 30 bucks for 100 ml. Both of these fragrances are very great alternatives for Bleu de Chanel. Next fragrance is Oud Wood by Tom Ford. I can say to this fragrance in the brief, Western Oriental, because atmosphere is Eastern and Oriental, that woodiness, that spiciness, but it is also wearable. It is Eastern in a very wearable way. That's why I can say Western Oriental type of fragrance. It is bitter, woody, in the same time somehow sweet. A little bit sweetness, like cinnamony, cardamom sweetness, not like added sugar. 200 bucks for 100 ml. For these average performer fragrances, too much, way overpriced, I believe. If you are seeking for a cheaper alternative for that fragrance, I suggest you go by Versace Oud Noir. This fragrance is also eau de parfum like Oud Wood by Tom Ford. They are close to each other, like 70%. I can catch also here sweetness and bitterness, and very variable like Tom Ford Oud Wood. I prefer this one a bit better compared to that fragrance. If the performance factor was 50% better by Tom Ford Oud Wood, 50%, because the fragrance has that potential to be such a beast. It is woody, oriental, spicy, like 10 hours plus, 12 hours plus in terms of longevity. I would say that fragrance is worthy, but by 5 hours in terms of longevity, hell no. This fragrance is also not great, but nothing to do. This is the closest alternative. Let's continue by one of my most favorite houses, House of Creed, Milesime Imperial. So this fragrance is not one of those original smelling Creed fragrances. It doesn't take new cards to the table, because I believe it smells like mixture, hybrid of green Irish sweet by silver mountain water by some minerally salty vibes. If you are seeking for a great alternative for that fragrance, which is retails around $200 for 100 ml, I suggest go by Club de Nuit Milestone from House of Armaf. This is one of those great colognes from House of Armaf in terms of scent profile. This one and Armaf Craze are very great colognes, almost identical by real stuff. Just at first 3-4 minutes, smells a bit harsher and different, but dried on is almost identical by less saltier batches of Milestone Imperial. This is mostly in the fruity side, I can say, fruity and floral side. You cannot catch that much, that salty vibe here. Performance of this one is 8 hours in terms of longevity on my skin and 2 hours projection and sillage. First hour is room filler, but softly room filler. Second hour is softly noticeable. Milestone Imperial is around maximum 5 hours on my skin. By first hour, average projection and sillage. In terms of longevity, projection, sillage, everything, this fragrance is winner, hands down. Next fragrance is from House of Yves Saint Laurent, none other than Tuxedo. So scent profile of this fragrance is very sexy. Dressed up, luxury, nighttime smelling, but it has not that wow factor for me, because it is a rose based fragrance. I can get rose mostly like 30% dominated in that fragrance. Rose based fragrances are not that unique in my humble opinion and has not that wow factor. So retail is around $250 for 125 ml. It's very much, and performance is around 4 hours maximum on the skin by very poor projection and sillage. If you are seeking for a great alternative for that fragrance, you cannot find anything better than Rochas Moustache. In terms of scent profile, I can say this is 70% close to that fragrance, but some things are different here, like a bit hay smelling, that papery atmosphere, which is, I believe this one is even more delicious compared to that fragrance. This is around $50 for 125 ml. That fragrance is $250 for 125 ml. Very big differences. In terms of performance, projection, sillage, everything, this fragrance is winner. It lasts easily on me like 7 hours, but in terms of scent profile, I can say they are both close. This one is also like that one, luxury, sexy, dressed up and nighttime smelling fragrance. Don't forget, subscribe the channel. If you have any opinion, suggestion, question, let me know in the comments below. Stay safe. See you in another video.